What's up, YouTube? This is your boy John from Project Ellsworth, and I am back with you today to show you guys yet another section of my movie collection. Let's do it. I hope all you guys are doing well out there and staying safe as usual. Alright, let's get into it. First up, we have a movie called Good Night, Mommy. This movie is really, really good. I don't remember how this thing came across my radar. I think it was just, I actually found this by looking around one day on YouTube, to be honest with you. I think that this, it was either previewed by somebody, reviewed by somebody, or maybe it was included in one of those of all-time lists, whatever that all-time list may have been. It's listed as being pure nightmare fuel. I really don't want to get too much into this because there's a pretty significant spoiler in there, or pretty significant twist ending in this movie that I really don't want to spoil in any way. So let me just read what it says. I'm not going to say anything on my own about it. One of the most corkscrew, twisted, razor blade sharp films of the year. In a lonesome house in the countryside in the heat of midsummer, 9-year-old twin brothers await their mother's return from the hospital. When she comes home with her face obscured by bandages, nothing is like before, and the children start to doubt whether this woman is actually who she says she is. What ensues is a terrifying struggle with fatal consequences on par with The Shining, Dead Ringers, in what the Daily Beast calls the most terrifying film of the year. I'm telling you, I can't recommend this movie high enough. Sincerely, this movie's really good. If you can find it, pick it up. If not, see if you can find it streaming somewhere, and definitely give that movie a watch. It's really, really good. Next up, we have Halle Berry in Gothica. Old Snapcase. I watched this movie when it first came out, and then I don't think that I've ever seen it again. I don't know that I've ever watched this movie again. I cherish this movie in all of its lurid glory. At Woodward Penitentiary for Women, an unexpected and highly disturbed inmate is now held in the psych ward once overseen by criminal psychologist Miranda Gray, the inmate, Dr. Gray herself. Halle portrays Gray, accused of a savage murder, clinging to her sanity as she copes with the series of ghostly encounters in Gothica. From Dark Castle Entertainment. A fellow doctor, portrayed by Robert Downey Jr. I don't remember that at all. A volatile inmate, portrayed by Penelope Cruz. Don't remember that either. And others figure in her harrowing ordeal. Matthew Kazovitz directs this jolting, ghostly horror in which strange voices cry out, messages scrawled in blood appear, specters arise, and the only thing more gripping than Gray's stark awakening into madness is her feverish attempt to escape it. I really don't remember very many details about this movie at all. I didn't remember Penelope Cruz or Robert Downey Jr. being in this movie at all in any way, but I do remember this movie being pretty good. I don't usually remember details of movies that I've watched long, long ago unless they were really impressionable on me, or believe it or not, I remember movies that I disliked more than the movies that I actually liked for whatever reason. It sucks to be that way, but it is that way. Next up, we have Grace. This is another movie that I remember this being pretty cool, but I don't remember the details of this movie either. And the text on the back of this is extremely small. Even with my glasses, I can barely see it, so sorry, folks, I'm not going to be able to read it. But I will read the quotes on the back here. More like a Stephen King tale than a splatterfest horror flick. That's from USA Today. Let this be a warning. View at your own risk. And that's from E! Online. A truly horrifying film. Downright chilling. I remember this movie being pretty cool. Look, my case is all jacked up. But I don't really remember the details of it. So if you get a chance to watch it, give it a watch. I remember it being pretty cool, but I really truly don't remember the details of it. Here's one that I actually was really looking forward to, and then when I watched it, I was sort of let down by, and that's Grace the Possession. a demonic twist on the genre. I really wanted to see this movie, and once I watched it, I just really wasn't too crazy about it. There's the chick from the Insidious movies and Nightmare on Elm Street and the other 1,000 movies that she's been in. Grace of Possession is a story like never told before, through the eyes of the possessed. Alexia Fast is Grace, a naive, beautiful, virginal college freshman trying to deal with campus culture and her outgoing new roommate. But when terror takes over her body and unleashes chaos, Grace returns to the cold clutches of her severe grandmother and the strict rules of the church. Haunted by the horrific death of her mother and deeply ingrained destructive urges, she must stop the demon inside before it's too late. I thought that dude was Cedric the Entertainer for a second there, but it is not. Yeah, I remember this movie being pretty much a letdown. I was looking forward to it. The trailer for the movie looked really awesome, but I don't remember being very impressed with that at all. Next up is Stephen King's The Graveyard Shift. I did a movie review of this a while back. It's been a few months now. This is a cool movie. Basically, new guy comes to town, takes a job working the overnight or the graveyard shift at an old mill, and strange things happen, as they do in Stephen King novels and in Stephen King movies. But yeah, this is pretty good. Decent movie. Give it a watch if you get a chance. There's a lot of people talk about that movie quite often out there, and I want to say that I recently heard that Scream Factory is getting ready to put a release of that out. All right, next up is Great Cannibal Classics. I know that I have... This may be the first time I ever opened this. I don't think I've ever opened it, watched it, nothing. All right, so what's on here? We got The Undertaker and His Pals, The Severed Arm, and I Eat Your Skin. That one I actually would be curious of. On a remote island, a doctor discovered a frightening new procedure. Unfortunately, he's using it to create an army of the night that will terrify and ultimately control the world. As he becomes more and more unhinged, his forces of flesh-eating zombies continue to grow, and they're getting hungry. One of these days I should pull that out and watch it just for the hell of it to see if it's any good. You never know. You know, movies, these old zombie movies, you could come across something spectacular, or you could come across something that's like Hell of the Living Dead. Thanks, Cody. Now that movie's got me scarred about old Italian zombie movies. Anyway, so Cannibal Classics. Next up is Great Scary Movies. Here's another one that I don't think I've ever opened. This is The Terror, House on Haunted Hill, which I have seen, and Night of the Living Dead, which I've seen. But, The Terror, I know I've never seen. Jack Nicholson's in it. Jack Nicholson plays a young officer in Napoleon's army, lured to a castle by a beautiful, mysterious woman. There he meets the Baron, which is Boris Karloff. And deep within the castle walls, he also discovers a terrifying evil, Roger Corman directed with a little help from pal Francis Ford Coppola. So Jack Nicholson and Boris Karloff, directed by Roger Corman with a little help from Francis Ford Coppola. Why not? Maybe I should keep this out and watch it. Sounds pretty good. Yeah. Next up, The Green Inferno from Eli Roth. When I saw this movie in the movie theater, it was basically a private screening. I went on like a Sunday afternoon around 12 o'clock, and I was literally the only person in the movie theater watching this movie, and I absolutely loved it. I think this movie's wonderful. I've watched it several times. I saw it in the movie theater. I bought it the day it came out. I watched it again the day it came out. I'm talking about the Blu-ray release. And I've probably watched this 5 or 6 times since then. I think this movie's fantastic. It's a really cool nod to Cannibal Holocaust, just set in more modern times with more modern, I don't even know what I'm trying to, more modern acting and more modern effects. I don't think that I like it as much as Cannibal Holocaust, but The Green Inferno is very cool. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Next up is one that I've heard good things about, but I have not watched. Patrick Stewart in Green Room. We were actually just talking about this movie on the Coast to Coast Horror stream last night. I've yet to see this thing. After witnessing a shocking crime, a young rock band is unexpectedly thrust into a life or death battle to escape the clutches of a diabolical club owner, portrayed by Patrick Stewart, and his ruthless henchmen in this white-knuckle thriller. An unforgettable, nerve-jangling adrenaline ride. The most badass movie of the year. I don't know about all that because I haven't seen it, but yeah, I heard this was pretty good. I've heard a few different people talk about this movie, and I have not heard anything negative about this movie whatsoever, which is pretty high praise. So, Green Room, I gotta watch that thing. Like I said, we were just talking about that last night, and all of the guys on there that had seen it said it was fantastic. So I gotta get on top of that. All right, next up, I got this for Christmas last year, and I know that I have not seen this yet. Greta with Chloe Grace Moretz. I remember seeing the trailer for this. It looked really cool. It looks like Chloe's character does something nice for this character, and then this character starts to basically haunt Chloe's character, or stalk, whatever you want to call it. And I call it really small writing that I don't feel like trying to read. But yeah, this movie looked pretty good. Haven't seen it. Chloe Grace Moretz, I think it was either last week's video or the week before. She has quietly become somewhat of a scream queen. She's been in a whole bunch of horror movies now. She was in the remake of Carrie. She was in the remake of Amityville Horror. She was in the remake of Let Me In, which was what was the original movie? Let the Right One In. She was in Let Me In. Now she's in Greta. She's been in a bunch of cool stuff. So I like Chloe a lot. I think she's cool. Okay, next up is Gracestone Park, which I bought for $4.99 used. Haven't seen this either. Do You Believe in Ghosts? In October 2009, the filmmakers broke into an abandoned psychiatric hospital known as Gracestone Park, infamous for its use of electroshock and lobotomies to treat mental illness. According to urban legend, anyone who dared enter the haunted institution would go insane. Once inside, the filmmakers quickly discover they are not alone. Encountering escaped patients, ghosts, and demonic shadows, they descend into terrifying realm of fear, paranoia, and madness. This is the record of their harrowing experience. So it sounds like this is almost documentary style, which means it's probably found footage style, which means this might be pretty good. I haven't watched it yet. I think my wife read something about this movie, and she may have bought this for me because it interested her as well, and I know that we have not sat down to watch this thing yet. So it sounds pretty good, and she's interested in it, so I mean, I really should probably give that a watch. All right, next up is The Grudge, which is the American version of Ju-On. I did a review of Ju-On quite a while ago, and I'll be honest with you, I did not like that movie at all. I don't recall being the biggest fan of The Grudge either, but I know for a fact that I liked this movie a lot more than I liked Ju-On. I did not like that movie at all. It bored me to death. And I usually like J-horror, but I did not like that one. I thought that movie was incredibly boring. So, I'm sure that everybody out there is aware of The Grudge or knows of The Grudge. And then you have The Grudge 2, which I don't recall that being very good either. And here's one that I have not watched yet, The Grudge 3. Another thing that I don't own, but I heard was really, really bad, was the remake of The Grudge, the second version of the American Grudge. The one with Harold and Kumar, the dude from Harold and Kumar in it. That came out, I don't know if that came out in early 2020 or late 2019. Doesn't make a difference, I haven't seen it. But I did not hear good things about that movie at all. Okay, next up is The Hallow. This was another one that I thought looked pretty cool. And I think I actually watched this, but I don't really remember it. Delivers a jolt of terror, delivers almost non-stop scares. A breakthrough, impressively frightening, scary and gorgeous, one of the most visually engaging and starkly terrifying monster movies in recent memory. Yeah, I just don't remember. I want to say that this was all, if I remember correctly, like something to do with trees, like haunted trees or something goofy like that. Let's see. When a London-based conservationist is sent to Ireland with his wife and infant child to survey an area of forest believed to be hallowed ground by superstitious locals, his actions unwittingly disturb a horde of demonic creatures who prey upon the lost. Alone and deep within the darkness of the remote wilderness, he must now fight back to protect his family against ancient forces' relentless attacks. Yeah, I want to say that this is a tree. Or something similar to that. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I saw this movie, but I don't really remember it all that well. I remember it being pretty decent, though. Okay. Now I am up to Halloween. This is my old standard definition copy of Halloween that I never got rid of. It's got almost like a lobby card, like a postcard inside of it. I would have to say for sure that of all the movies that I've upgraded over the years, this is the one that I'm sure that I'll never get rid of, is the Halloween series. I've already traded in a lot of the Friday the 13th movies, but these things I'll never get rid of. Next up is Halloween 2. Surprise, surprise, same thing, never get rid of it. You guys know the story. I don't need to read these things or tell you about them. Everybody knows what Halloween is. Next is Halloween 3. This is the one with no Michael Myers except for the television commercial. This is the one with the silver shamrock in it, the children with the Halloween masks. Next up is, this is a different region. What is this? I can't remember which region this is, but it's Halloween 4. Somebody bought this. I had terrible luck with Halloween 4. Pardon me. I bought a copy in the United States from Best Buy, and it didn't play. This one, I believe, was fine, but I bought a copy of Halloween 4, and it wouldn't play in my Blu-ray player or my DVD player. Just wouldn't play. Didn't work. So then I bought another one, and it was the same thing. It just didn't work. Then I bought this online without knowing any better, and it's the wrong region, so this one wouldn't work either. I think I wound up ultimately buying like 3 or 4 copies of Halloween 4 before I finally actually got one that worked. And now I think I have Halloween 4, all of the Halloween movies, multiple times, I'm sure. But Halloween 4 in particular, I remember having a hell of a time getting that thing to finally work in one of my players. But it doesn't matter now. Now I have it on standard DVD 2 or 3 times, and I have it on Blu-ray 2 or 3 times. Whatever. I got a bunch of them, just like all of you do probably. Alright, that's it for this week's video. That's this week's section of my collection. If you guys like this video, if you want me to watch any of those, pardon me, and include them on an upcoming Fright Flick Friday, leave me a comment down below. A couple of those movies I think I'm going to pull on my own and throw them in there and include them, regardless of whether you ask me to or not. There's a few of them I want to check out. The Green Room, the Green Inferno is always a great watch. The Goodnight Mommy, you guys, I'm telling you, watch that movie if you get a chance. Of that bunch, that's one of the better movies. Goodnight Mommy's awesome. Alright, I'm going to get out of here. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you've been enjoying my content up to this point, please do me a huge personal favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. And thank you for watching. Later, folks. Bye, Sam. See you next time.